You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lyazniansky, and welcome to my show. Hello and welcome to the Confidence Within podcast. Today's episode is going to be very short, but very important. We are going to talk about whether practice truly makes perfect. How many times have you heard this expression? Practice makes perfect. It gets thrown around so much that I think we kind of lost our sense of understanding that phrase. What does it actually mean, practice makes perfect? When we practice, we form a habit and develop muscle memory, right? For example, in music, if you want to sound really good, you want to practice the same piece over and over again, and then you're going to master it. In sports, you need to practice a move, and then it becomes part of your muscle memory and you become really good at it. So it kind of makes sense when people say that the only way you can excel is through practice, simply because after 10,000 repetitions, a move becomes a part of who we are and makes us masters of it. But does practice make perfect when it comes to overcoming the fear of public speaking? In theory, it sounds very logical, right? If you want to become truly great at speaking, if you want to conquer your anxiety, you should do it over and over and over again, and it becomes a habit, and then you're no longer scared, right? Well, even though on the surface this sounds super logical, in reality it's not true. In fact, I've had dozens of clients who came to me after years or even decades of practicing speaking in public, only to discover that their anxiety didn't diminish. For example, I had one client whose job was to give presentations at work. For 15 years, she's been giving presentations almost weekly. And while she did feel a little better, she still didn't completely conquer her anxiety. And every week before she had to speak, she was stressed, she was nervous, she couldn't sleep, and then while she was speaking, she was also completely anxious. 15 years, right? You'd think that if practice makes perfect, in 15 years, you practiced enough to make it truly perfect, to truly master it. So what's the deal? Why there is such a contradiction? Let me give you a quote. It's by Vince Lombardi, who is probably the most inspirational American football coach of all time. Here is what he said. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Let me say it again. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Interesting. Why would a coach say that when in general, if we think about sports, practice does seem to make perfect? Well, simply because if you are practicing a wrong thing, you're committing it to your muscle memory just as effectively if you were practicing a right thing. And if you don't know whether you're practicing a right thing or a wrong thing, then you don't really know what exactly you're mastering. Are you with me? Because practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. If you are repeating exactly the same mistakes, you're making those mistakes permanent. They become a part of who you are. So let's think about public speaking, right? And again, I am talking about the scenario where you are anxious about speaking in public, like most of the people who come to me are. When you don't feel comfortable with speaking in public, when you are anxious while you're speaking, when you are pushing through fear over and over and over again, what exactly are you practicing? Are you practicing speaking confidently, or are you practicing speaking while you are scared? If you are very consistent with your practice and you push through the fear every single time, all you are doing is you are practicing and forming a habit of speaking while feeling anxious. You are literally making this state permanent. And that's why, even if you've been struggling with the fear of public speaking for years and you feel like you've been practicing, you do not see results. This is exactly the reason. Because you've been practicing the wrong things. You've been creating a practice of speaking while being anxious. And now it has become a habit. So what's the solution? Well, I think the solution is obvious, right? If we go back to Vince Lombardi, when he said practice does not make perfect, only perfect practice makes perfect. What does it mean? It means that you want to learn the right things first, and then you want to practice those things. There is no point in practicing pushing through fear if you don't know what you're doing. Learn how to build unshakable inner confidence first. Learn how to speak while practicing with this unshakable inner confidence, while practicing being the best version of you. When you practice those things, you are creating a perfect practice. Address the fear first. Address the anxiety first. Learn to speak with confidence and only then practice. Because this way, instead of practicing the wrong things over and over and over again, you are practicing the right things. And you're going to start seeing results. You're going to notice that as you continue practicing the right things, your fear subsides, your anxiety goes away. And instead of dreading speaking, instead of dreading presentation, instead of dreading raising your hand in a meeting and speaking up, speaking in public becomes something that you actually enjoy. And if you're serious about upleveling your career, then grab my free new mini course called Conquer Your Fear of Public Speaking Once and For All. You can get it at www.conqueryourfearminicourse.com. Again, that's www.conqueryourfearminicourse, it's all one word, .com. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye for now.